Welcome to Vacation Rental Mastery, where your host, Karan Narang, guides you through harnessing vacation rental investments. Whether you're new to vacation rentals or expanding your portfolio, this podcast fuels your path to freedom. Join us in this movement to transform your life. Ready for change and legacy building? You're in the right place. Let's embark on this freedom journey and master vacation rental investing together.
Thank you, Prashant, for joining me in this episode of the podcast. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you. We know that you're a very avid investor in short-term rentals and long-term rentals. We know that you're also a physician. But tell us a little more about yourself. Go into a little detail and tell us how you got here and what you're really doing.
I am 48 years old, married. I have 2 teenage children. I'm a dermatologist in private practice. When I finished my training, I opened my own practice and had been working nonstop, seeing patients. And I had been doing that for about 15 years. And when COVID hit in the state of Illinois, they forced non-essential medical practices, which they considered dermatology, to shut down. And it made me realize that I have a W-2 job and that I am stuck to, my paycheck is stuck to seeing patients and being able to stay open. The freedom of time that it gave me for a couple months allowed me to learn about other opportunities. To create passive income, to create time freedom for me and my family. I was connected with a group of physicians that were teaching real estate investing concepts. My wife and I took the course, and we got into investing into long-term rentals. My wife was able to achieve real estate professional status, which allowed us to take accelerated depreciations against many of the properties we purchased in Chicago. We also did a few syndication investments, which allowed us to also use those depreciations. And then we were able to reduce our taxable income. And we were creating passive income at the same time. In 2020, as the markets were getting hot in real estate, it was hard to find investments in long-term real estate. So we pivoted and started looking into short-term rentals. We were also part of a couple different physician groups that were working in short-term rentals, and it gave us the confidence and the ability to move into that sector. We purchased over the course of a year and a half, 7 properties. We ended up choosing to stay in one location because we had teams in place and the returns were good and we loved visiting. We chose to invest in Topsail Island, which is just north of Wilmington, North Carolina. And those properties continue to do well. From our teachings and experience in long-term rental, we were very comfortable in self-managing. So we decided to do this on our own with the support of our investing group. And we learned all the techniques of how to be able to book and manage and communicate with our guests. And so in 2023, it was getting a little busy to manage 17 long-term doors, and now we have 8 short-term rentals. So we brought on a virtual assistant that we were able to hire from the Philippines, and now she has taken over a lot of our day-to-day communications, checking the finances, the listings, promoting us on Facebook and other websites, and so this has now given me freedom of time from my real estate properties. So that's kind of where we are right now.
Yeah, so what's very interesting, Prashant, is I've had about 6 or 7 conversations so far, and almost every guest that I've had on this podcast has been talking about freedom. And ironically, the theme of this whole podcast is freedom because that's what I have secured through investing in short-term rentals. We talk about the multiple freedoms, freedom from money, freedom from time, location freedom, relationship freedom, right? People who you want to work with, you don't want to work with. What I find very often is most people, they buy short-term rentals, they invest in one, two, and three, but they never take the time or the effort up front to put in place the systems and the processes that allow them to get the very freedom they invested the money in for to get in the first place. They completely missed the boat on retaining those freedoms. They wanted to invest in short term rentals or in long term rentals because they wanted to secure time freedom and location freedom and financial freedom. They end up getting so caught up in this whole loop that they're unable to spend that time they wanted to spend with the family. It's been a very consistent theme across almost every investor I've spoken in this space. And it seems like that's the one thing that tends to hold people back from expanding and further scaling their portfolio. So it's really, really refreshing to see that you've made a very conscious effort to put those systems and processes in place. And I guess that's led to a direct growth in your portfolio. It's had a direct impact on your growth and your projections. So very commendable job there. So congratulations on that. And I'm sure you'll continue to expand that way. Now let's talk a little bit about this freedom from the W-2 that you were talking about, right? Do you still enjoy practicing? Do you still continue to do that? Is there anything on your timeline or your horizon that says, I'm only going to do it for so many more years because I want to kind of have I've reached FI or financial independence and I can move forward, or is that still your passion?
So it's interesting. I've been over the last 3 years. I've been through multiple shifts, and um, I was experiencing burnout, as most physicians will, probably at about 10, 12 years into practice. It's very difficult to practice and work 5 days a week in the environment of medicine right now. So my initial plan is let's build up this passive income, and that way it'll allow me to sell my practice and then work doing dermatology as I see I would want, like locum tenens, and I just work a month here,
Mm-hmm.
work a month
Mm-hmm.
there. But with this freedom of time, like I went through this too, just like your other guest, is we were working hard, we were putting a lot of hours in, and you finally hit a breaking point and you look at your spouse and you say, what are we doing? Why are we spending so much time and effort on this? And so with my practice, it happened beginning of 23. I decided I'm going to go from 4 days a week to 3 days a week because I knew I had enough income coming in. I knew that we were living comfortably and I didn't need the extra money. Honestly, everyone in America can live in financial independence if they live within their means. And I knew, and I talked with my wife, we can sell the house, we can sell the cars, we can sell everything, and we will be comfortable and happy, and we don't need much. Then in the long-term rentals, we were driving to a property 45 minutes away to fix a garage door. And I looked at my wife driving there, and this happened in winter of 22. And I said, what are we doing? Like, why are we spending 3 hours of our time to fix a garage door when we can just pay someone $150 to do it? And then that's when we shifted our long-term rentals to be mostly outsourcing all of the labor and all of the stuff. So we visit our properties once every 3, 4 months now. And then in the short-term rental space, there was a point where I was seeing a patient and I was coming back to my computer, answering questions for the guest, seeing a patient, coming back, and I was extremely stressed out and decided, okay, this is the time that we have to bring a virtual assistant on and we need assistance. So I think everyone goes through that growth phase and then they hit a point where they realize that this is not the life that they envisioned. And then that's when you bring in. And I'll tell you, every time I created these time freedoms, from the practice, from long-term rentals, from short-term rentals, it has given me time to create new visions for what I can create for myself, my family, and my community. So I think time freedom is the most important thing that every one of us really needs to strive for because great things can develop from it.
Absolutely, absolutely spectacular and very well said because, we've experienced the same thing. And I'll touch upon a very important thing here. So I get this question all the time. Short-term rentals or long-term rentals, and why? Aren't long-term rentals more risky, or, is it more fluid? And what I try to explain to people is when you're investing in short-term rentals, you got to remember that the cash flow is significantly better than long-term rentals. Now you can pay someone to go fix that garage door without getting negative for the month on your cash flow. Because in long-term rentals, sometimes you're only making $200 or $300 a door. And the minute you send someone out there to fix a garage door, he's going to charge you a couple $100, right? In short-term rentals, I would even argue that it's a to me is a better investment because I don't think as much when I have to. If I do have to send someone out there, I will. And ironically, none of my short-term rentals are anywhere close to me. The minimum is like 3.5 hours away. So you know what? It's not even a choice. We're forced to put those systems and processes in place to make sure we retain our freedoms. In fact, most coaching clients I get, they start off talking about, oh, I need to buy something really close to me so I can get to it. I'm like, no, you don't want that. If it's close to you, you're going to push yourself to go fix it yourself. You know what? You want to be resourceful enough to find the right people in the place you're going to invest and get it done, right? And it's so hard for people to comprehend that fact that you can invest at a distance and you can build that team to really make that successful. So great job there as well. So Prashant, tell me, where is this portfolio of yours going? What is the plan? What's the vision? And try to lay it out for me in time frames. Over the next 12 to 24 months, this is what your target is, and then 5 year and 10 year kind of a longer term vision. Obviously, it's fluid. We know things change, but where do you think this is going?
You know, the plans will depend on what gives me the best return, what has the best interest rates, what are the bonus depreciation rules for 2024. I was meeting with my wife last week, and we were talking about the potential 100% bonus depreciation, and we discussed, should we try to go into long-term real estate again, get back real estate professional status? There's a lot of documentation needed, and so it takes planning for the whole year. And then we plan on buying a big multifamily. Versus if the short-term rental market softens and prices come down and rates come down, we might be able to purchase a larger short-term rental as well. So I am ready to pivot in either direction. The returns that I am hoping for with short-term rentals are a minimum of 25% cash on cash. And then for long-term rentals, it's only 10% cash on cash. And so I agree the returns for short-term rental are better, but it all depends on the environment. There are plenty of people that have purchased this past year that are barely breaking even.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what kind of comes to my door,
And what's very interesting, you mentioned that because it is really hard to cash flow positive on most real estate right now because the interest rates are so high, right?
Yes.
And what I'm seeing, at least in the market, because I'm looking at deals every single day for my clients, for myself, and what I'm seeing is that getting, I'll say, on long term or multifamily, getting even a 10% cash on cash has become really hard because prices haven't really dropped the way they were expected. On short term, getting 10 to 12% is easy at the moment, even with the high interest rates. And then if you're willing to get creative, I just submitted an offer on a large property here in Texas, and my cash on that is about 25%. But you have to get really creative in this market at that 8% interest rate that we're seeing right now to be able to go purchase and still make 25% returns.
Right.
What I'm going to argue with most people right now is if you're able to really buy a property right now in this high interest rate environment when there's not so many investors jumping in the market and pushing prices even higher, you're able to probably secure these properties at under asking, potentially under market value. So my play on it is I'm going to go out and buy these properties. If they're getting close to 20%, anything north of even 10 or 15% is okay. especially if 100% depreciation comes back. If you're able to acquire these properties at 10% or so below market value, and you're purchasing at 8%, in 2 to 3 years, when the interest rates come back down, that's when all these investors start jumping back in. Because most investors, if they're not, either very savvy or working with someone who's actually done this several times, they're going to say, oh, the interest rate's high, right? You and I, as experienced investors, know that that's just one variable in the whole equation. Interest rate can be 10%, but if Prashant is getting 25% return, he's buying it, correct? Am I right? Exactly.
Absolutely.
So because 2 years from now, that interest rate goes down to 6%, guess what we're going to do? We're going to pull out our equity, we're going to refinance, we're going to pull out our equity, and we're going to be even in a better position. So it's a normal trend, I think, when interest rates come down, most other investors jump back into the market. They're going to push the prices up again. That's going to work really well for us because our comps just went up. The value of our properties go up, and we can refi and pull out the equity. So that's the play I'm going into. That's what I'm doing right now. So I'm actually very actively hunting for new properties. Most of my offers are at least 10 to 15% below asking. I'm not paying asking for anything unless it's truly stands out and is an exceptional property. I'm not going to go pay anything at close to asking. So that's what I'm on the hunt for. So yeah, it's good to see we're aligned on that thought process. I know a lot of investors basically saying no, I'm done. I'm sitting on the sidelines or whatever. The problem is they're not playing the infinite game. You got to stay in the game to win it. If not, you're not going to make it.
You got to jump in when people are scared.
Absolutely. So no, that's good to know. So Prashant, what are the strategies you're working on within your current business? Are you trying to do something a little different? Everyone's complaining about occupancy is low, revenue is low. Is there anything special you're working on your portfolio to try and maximize the returns from it?
We try to stay high in the Airbnb rankings. We use RankBreeze to kind of monitor and tweak our listings. I think we have pretty good guest communications, and we've had so many 5-star reviews over the last couple of years. One thing that I really want to focus on is figuring out how to. We don't get many repeat bookings, so I want to figure out how to get all of these past customers of ours and encourage them to look at all of our properties and decide to come back to us. And if we can get them to come back directly, not using the Airbnb and Vrbo platforms, then it reduces the fees, it reduces the headaches and worries we have of dealing with the rules of the platforms. But that's kind of one of my focuses. Our direct booking percentages in the past couple of years has been about 18 to 20%, which I think is generally high, but I'd love to see that go to 40%. But that would be kind of my goal for our listings.
Yeah, so it's interesting you bring that up. We've been marketing for the last 3 years, and every time I look around, I'm like, we're not doing enough. We're not pushing it enough. We got to change our strategy. We need to do more. We're right at about 20 to 25% right now, and we've been doing marketing for like 3 years and trying to bring customers back in. Extremely difficult to really get that any higher. When I started in this business, my original goal was in 3 years I need to have 80% direct booking. Now that's not even easy. The largest marketplace is Airbnb. It's like Xerox for photocopiers, right? Everyone just goes to that directly, and I don't think there's no getting away from it.
Right.
Now the way the way I look at it is, yes, we have to continue building it and building that brand and building that experience and building that portfolio. It's the longer term play. I don't think it's going to change anything in the near future, but I do believe that it's a worthy effort. We started doing all of our marketing and our website and our marketing efforts right when we bought the first property, because I always had this vision that I'm going to build a brand. I'm not just buying a property. I'm going to build a brand, and I'm going to continue marketing that brand and building that brand. So that's what we've done, and continue to progress there. But there's always, especially on marketing, there's always so much more. You look around the corner and there's something new you can do to really promote again. So we've been trying. It's a difficult challenge. It's a tough challenge there that if we can overcome, I think it's got a lot of potential there. Yeah. So no, that's definitely a good focus. Now I think your properties are also larger, right? They sleep multiple people,
So
like 12, 14 people.
we have a variety. So we have a fourplex of 4 townhomes that sleep 10 each, and we have a duplex that each side sleeps 12 each. And then we have a home that sleeps 18 on the island.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So when you're looking at especially at bigger properties, you have to find that way to direct market to everyone who's staying in that property, and we've been doing that again. We have a database of about 8 to 10,000 previous customers that have been staying at our places. What one of the things we've done, just to help you understand, is we create,
yeah,
we use StayFi on our properties,
sure.
and we basically collect email addresses from everyone, and we cross market those properties to not just the people who stayed at one or the other. It's everyone goes in together into the pipeline, and we cross market to everyone. It's one of the things we also do for the properties that we co-host. So if you said, hey Karan, help me co-host this property, when we bring that property into our database and we start marketing it and we start handling the operations, we actually market your property that just came into our database to that existing 10,000 customers who've stayed with us in the past. And we say, hey, here's a new property we've launched. This is what we're doing with it. So it is quite interesting because that some of those things do turn into direct bookings. It takes a little while, but it does work. Yeah, so it's a good way to do things. So Prashant, what other if I asked you a question, 5 years from today, Prashant wakes up in the morning and does what? What are you going to be doing 5 years from today, sitting here?
I'm gonna be sitting in another country and and then going for a nice run outside and learning the culture. My long-term plan once the kids are off to college is to experience the world and to be
Okay.
able to. I'll still have my home. I'll still have my practice but I will take a month or two off here or there. I'll go with my wife and we will start to not just travel for a week or two, but for a time being where we can learn the language, the culture, meet the people, maybe do some goodwill work wherever we stay. She's a physician too, and both of us can help in whatever communities we go to. That I would love to start doing that in the next 5 years.
That's awesome, man. Again, my kids are still small. They're 9, and 11. We make a very conscious effort. We actually travel with them everywhere.
Yeah.
And if, we've used, so just to give you an example, we spoke about time freedom. This year, like, last year, 2023, we traveled for 4 or 5 weeks to Asia. We went to India, where our family is from, and we went to Thailand, Cambodia, and Indonesia at the time. And then in December, we went out to Peru and Patagonia. So we take off, a couple months in a year. And again, that's the beauty of putting in these systems and processes in place that my
Right.
team can pretty much handle all the business without me being around and without me having to work 4 hours a day. They can handle most of the process. So yeah, you're well on your way to be able to do that. Now again, you have a slightly older kid, so you're not probably not able to get away that easily, which I expect is going to happen to us in a few years as well. But yeah, no, that's going to be exciting.
Yeah, so this year we traveled to Central Europe. We went to London, Paris, with our kids. We like to travel with our kids as well. And virtual assistant took care of all the issues,
Exactly,
and
exactly.
it's amazing.
Yep. Most people can't comprehend that. It's really difficult for them to kind of let go of the control and say let the team handle it. But if you train the
Right,
team well and you trust them, they can handle 90% of the work. So
right.
yeah, that's definitely liberating. Awesome. So Prashant, what else is on your mind? What is there a specific topic? Is there a specific item that holds you back from taking things to the next level today? Is there anything blocking your moves?
I think it would be the limitation of cash to be able to expand faster. So I'm waiting to make money from my practice, from the rentals, for that to accumulate enough to make a down payment. It'd be nice to learn how to use other people's money
Mm-hmm.
uh, to then buy more, and then I manage, and then I pay back the other people's money. So learning that technique, I think, would be very useful to scale much faster. Because that's why we've only added just a little bit every 6 months or so.
Yeah, what's very interesting, Prashant, you bring this up, is I've had, several people reach out and say, hey, I have the money. I don't necessarily have the time or the bandwidth or the knowledge, and I don't care for it. I'm not going to build this big short-term rental business, and they want to partner, right? They want to come together, they want to partner, they want to build this, they want to get a property, they want to enjoy the tax breaks, which is great, and they say, I have the money, and I want to see the returns or the type of returns you're getting. I just don't have the ability, or I don't want to learn it, right? It's not that hard, but I don't want to learn it. I don't want to become that expert. Will you partner with me? So I'm finding more and more people coming out and saying that I'm not able to find those deals myself. I'm not able to comprehend how I'm going to make this money. Are you willing to partner with us to take this to the next level? And what we're really thinking about, and probably in the fall, we will come out with this whole program that talks about how we can partner, go into a deal, they get the tax write-off, we go on to manage it in the future. So it's going to be a full service kind of a thing. And I think there's a lot of opportunity in that space because in this market, to find a property that can truly do 20 to 25% cash on cash returns and stay sustainable, it takes an extra level of effort. You can't buy a Smokies cabin and expect that to happen,
No.
right? It's not going to happen. You do maybe 8-10%, you'll be okay. But if you really want those unnatural returns, then you have to do something creative. For example, we do this whole thing with the wedding events and weddings and events at a big large property. And honestly, it's the best performing property we have in our entire portfolio. And I know that model works. So we're going after those properties, and that's where we get 25%. After we pay all the costs associated with those events and the additional help we have to hire, all of that, the returns are still good. But again, if you don't push hard to get creative, to get, to do something different with the properties, extremely difficult to get those good returns today. So it's a tough market and tough business to be in at the moment. But as long as you can stay in and hang on and really put your head down and get creative, I think there's a lot of potential there.
I agree.
Awesome. So Prashant, thank you very much for this quick segment here. I do appreciate your time and effort. If there is anything else I can do for you at all, please feel free to reach out at any point. You know where to find me.
Thank you for joining us on Vacation Rental Mastery. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in for our next episode, where the journey to financial freedom and lifestyle flexibility continues. Here's to your success in the exciting world of vacation rentals.